From our sponsor. And now I'm home.
And you see this, it's recording us now, but that's okay. It goes down. And when it gets to there, I do my... Welcome to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gigs Society, whose mission is creating unity through music, or as I really like to say, making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace. And today we are in Studio One, the worldwide headquarters of Planetary Gigs Society, and having a conversation with Val.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Val. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
How do I sound over here?
You sound okay, even though you haven't slept since the Nats won the championship.
It was a dream come true, but it was brutal.
Oh, the things we do, right?
Yeah, I mean, all through October. How many games? I mean, we share season tickets with, so we watch a lot of games, and I often have the games on. My dad was a big baseball fan. I got back into it. Bryce Harper came into the league, and the Nats were good, and it was just so frustrating. And then they fired the manager, and then all of a sudden they just kept winning games. It was like incredible,
right?
Yeah.
So were you at the actual Nats Park for any of the games, Jeff?
No, I didn't go to any. I didn't go to any of the World Series games or playoff games. It's kind of expensive. It's really crowded. We went a couple years ago, and they got beat.
Right.
And so it was like, but we watched a lot of games, and they start at 8:00 at night and go till midnight or later.
Right.
And it was like a week of that.
I know.
It was brutal.
I was in it too.
So I do like to. You could do the distance ones without looking at the person.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just do it on the phone.
Right.
And
For those of you that can't see us or might listen to this podcast someday, we're actually having a tutorial today.
Yeah.
So Jeff is sort of schooling me on having a podcast. So when he references those technicals, it's because I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. But it's really a conversation. I think one time I couldn't get the video to work, and the person that I interviewed, I never really saw him. He didn't see me. It's a little bit like doing a webinar. Have you ever done webinars when you're the speaker and you're just talking into the blackness? Right.
But it's not like a conversation, though? It's just an audio conversation?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a conversation. So,
right.
I mean, I try to be, and people tell me too, that we are very present, and because you've got to, here you are, you're running this thing. I'm looking at this. How are the levels? Right. Oh, so here's something. See where that little thing is right there?
Okay, well, let me look at a little thing. Hold on.
Where that is?
Which little thing?
That thing there. I left it on there one time, and it clicked, and it shut off, and we recorded for 18 minutes, and I didn't get it. So I learned how to do that. You put it over there, and then it should be, now it's following along, and you can see what's going on. So I check the levels. You can check the time. I always say 20, 25 minutes. What I find is that the conversations are just so freaking interesting that we keep going. Plus, when you're talking with somebody, they don't necessarily immediately start off with the cool stuff, the family jewels sort of. Right. The way that I have developed to try to get people talking is I say, well, where did music first come from? When did music come into your life? Another thing I found out about doing podcasts by listening I might have mentioned this to you when we talked before. There's podcasts about how you do podcasts. and it's
That's
a good
some
thing.
Navel gazing.
Yeah, well, it's about what do you name it? How do you
name it?
And one of the things I learned, which is it's good to ask questions like not just, okay, quick, what's your top favorite song of all time? Right. Because then you're like, and there's the pause and the person doesn't know. So they said it's good if you can ask a number of questions like, So, Val, where did music really come from in your life? I mean, did your parents play? Was there music around your house? Did you start playing piano when you were young? I mean, how did...
Right.
So now you're getting because if somebody even asked you that, when was the first time you remember music in your life? You might not really remember it, but if I give you enough time to sort of think about something, then you can go on. And I want them to talk.
Right.
I mean, I do add in stuff that I think is important that I would like to get out too by these podcasts, but I also I want them to tell me the good stuff. Right.
Hey, so Jeff, I have a question for you. Has anyone ever interviewed you about why you did a podcast on your podcast?
No, I have a friend. It's amazing how once you start doing these kinds of things, it just rolls.
Right.
It's really wild. People pop out of the blue.
Yeah.
So I had a sort of a pro bono client who was recommended by another person that I knew who was the executive director of Harmony Inc.
Okay.
Which is a women's barbershop group.
Oh,
and they
cool.
were having some legal issues.
Okay.
So we did some of that, but then I asked her if she would like to do a podcast, and she said yes, and I did it over Zoom. Harmony did a lot of meetings over Zoom, and I kind of got familiar with that. One thing about Zoom, you may be able to do it with other platforms, I don't know, but you can turn off the compression of the sound, because sometimes when you're talking to people and you hear
okay,
because it just, you've heard that either on phone calls or bad connections or something. It just kind of, but you can turn on the original sound that's not compressed.
Oh.
You just have to know to do that. And Zoom has really good customer support. You can get humans on the thing and actually look at them on video when you're talking with them, and they can help you out with stuff.
Wow. Good to know.
Yeah. So Christina, the reason I went on that tangent was Christina said, sometime we got to interview you. Who's going to interview you about all this stuff?
Yes, and?
So, well, she said, yeah, that hasn't happened yet.
Well, why hasn't it happened, Jeff?
Well, I haven't. I'm totally cool with it, but it just hadn't happened yet.
Well, so the podcast I'm hoping to do is going to be called Mid-Adulting.
Mid-adulting.
You're right, and I think
is that
we
a
determined.
Word?
No, I made it up.
Oh.
But isn't it perfect? We're mid-adulting. I think we decided you were a little outside the margin, but we were going to grandfather you in. Well, how old are you again, Jeff? 60?
I could be like 66.
66. Oh, see, I think you're in then. I think we're going to push it to 70. Is 70 still mid-adulting in your mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because people can... My mom lived to be 100. You could... I went to a funeral today. Joe Haig, do you know him?
No, who's Joe Haig?
He's the caretaker of Sycamore Island up here on the Potomac.
Oh, right.
His father passed, who was 89. I'd take 23 more years.
Right. I think 89 sounds young now.
Yeah. So that's mid-adulting.
Yeah,
could
so
be,
you're still mid-adulting. So you would be one of our guests then, because we would be talking about how you came to podcasting as a mid-adult. So, Jeff.
Yeah, or even as almost an old person.
Right.
As a senior.
Right. So we need to just come up with a new name.
I think mid-adulting is pretty good.
Yeah, mid-adulting. So Jeff, tell me, why did you start doing a podcast as a late to mid-adulter? What intrigued you about the format?
My son, my youngest son, who was living here for a while, he's 32, 31. He used to listen to podcasts a lot, and he turned me on to a couple of them. And I don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
For those of you who can't see me, my eyebrows just went way up.
Yeah, I like the Oprah podcast. She talks to a lot of people.
Which one? Master something?
Super Soul Stories.
Super Soul Conversation. I think she also has one
that.
called like Masterclass or something.
Maybe.
All right, so you like Oprah.
I like spiritual stuff.
Okay.
Peace, bringing peace to the world.
Right.
That was the inspiration in way for this Planetary Gig Society.
Okay, yeah.
It was actually Tara Gorman and I were talking about this for a long time. We had some conversations with Raz. Do you know Raz?
I think I do.
About the Harmonic Unity Musical Ministry, and that kind of went off the rails a little bit. But for some reason, we still wanted to do something about music and how to make a better world out of using music to make a better world. We didn't know what that would be. We've done a bunch of house concerts, probably like 30 house concerts. One November 23rd. No, at our house here.
Oh, okay.
Where musicians come and do a concert in your living room.
Oh, right. So just like a house concert, not a party.
Yeah,
gotcha.
House concerts.
Okay. November 23rd, got it.
Gaye Adegbalola will be here. You should probably come.
I should probably come, yeah.
If you can.
Yeah.
She's an amazing woman.
Cool. Is she a mid-adulter?
Well, I think she's 75.
Okay.
But you could really just stretch it as far as you wanted, I think.
Maybe it's just a state of mind.
It's a state of mind.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not dead yet. You're not infirm yet. You're
right.
still trying to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life.
Right. Okay. Maybe I need to drill that down a little bit.
Yeah. But she toured for years with Sapphire, the Uppity Blues Women.
Oh, yes. Do
you know them?
Yes, I sure do.
Gaye is amazing. They got out there and gigged around, and she had songs, I Got Big Ovaries, Baby, and Silver Beaver, and all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
I mean, she is plus she's also kind of a civil rights icon from Fredericksburg.
Cool.
She used to teach at Blues Week, Davis and Elkins College. It's the Augusta Heritage Center up in Elkins, West Virginia. And we went there for years and years when I was playing blues harmonica.
Okay.
Got to know her. She's done some house concerts. She helped with some book projects. Her partner at the time was an illustrator. Anyway, so Gaye is really phenomenal. She has a new CD out called The Griot.
Okay. Ooh.
And she's talking some... She has a Facebook thing that she does called Half Lit and Talking Schmack.
I love it.
Yeah. And
okay.
she's got a song about FGM,
fill me
female
in.
Genital mutilation.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what that acronym stood for. Okay.
She's not in favor of it, so she has a song about it.
Okay. We've gone down a deep rabbit hole, by the way. This was supposed to be talking about how you came to podcasting with Tara.
Yeah, and another thing is, so editing.
Yes, editing.
A friend of mine told me, well, if you just kept them to 20 minutes, like you were doing an institutional sort of a podcast, you were doing it for your job, you might cut out a bunch of stuff, you'd get the transcript, you'd edit things out, you'd edit the whole thing. I'm just like, man, this is taking a lot of energy just doing them.
Right.
So all I do is I edit for blurps, coughs.
Right.
If somebody says, well, let me say that again better, although hardly anybody ever does that. So I do edit it for that, and then I add the music at the end, and I did an outro. Mm-hmm. You've been listening to Planetary Gig Talk, and like that little stuff with the music. But we started this, and it took a long time to figure out what the mission was. And Tara, I'm not even sure. The reason I say creating unity through music is because we had a board meeting with Tara and the other board members and a couple other people, and they said, what does that mean, making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace? And to me, it was really obvious.
Right.
It's like, that's all I'm trying to do. Talk with people about music, make connections with music, and have the intention of, bringing
now, when
peace,
you say board, what's the name of that organization again? The
Planetary Gigs Society.
Oh, you have a board.
Yeah, well, it's a nonprofit corporation, 501c3 charitable organization.
Okay.
And it has a board.
And how often does the board meet?
Oh, a couple times a year by phone usually. One time we met in person in Denver at the Up With People gala that they had. Tara's been big with Up With People.
Cool. Here comes a cough for you to edit out. Okay, I'm back.
All right.
Oh, and one for you too.
Yeah. So, I have had a couple of interviews where I've been just like, where you can't hardly get through it, but you just have to get through it. The guy's sitting over there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
So you had the idea of wanting to do a podcast with Tara? Am I getting the sequence right?
Tara and I had been talking about this for a long time with some other friends. We kind of came up with the name. We came up with the mission. I was going to go a whole different direction. But then it turned out we developed a website. We put content on about the power of music, because when I got into this, I went really deep into new research about music and the brain.
Oh.
There's a lot. This is Your Brain on Music. There's a lot of audiobooks, 20-hour audiobooks on research on music and the brain and all this stuff, research on kids' music, in utero music, all this stuff.
Okay. And you were linking that to a feeling of well-being that would sort of then perpetuate itself into the universe, into peaceful connections with people. There's a lot of research on music and the brain, but what were you gleaning from it that you were making the association with peaceful connections?
Since my midlife crisis, when I ended up getting divorced and, leaving my family, which nobody ever really wants to do, I don't think, but it happened. I've been studying what is all this stuff about, and my ex-wife gave me a book called A Course in Miracles.
Oh, yes.
You know that?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Love is Letting Go of Fear by Jerry Jampolsky, which is really is a very short summary of it, and I think it's really, really profound.
Okay.
But I spent a long time trying to figure out what that meant.
Uh-huh.
What is love? What is fear? What is forgiveness?
Right.
And then I wrote some books about this, and that Heaven is Everywhere was, I think, 2014.
Okay.
When it went out. It took me 8 years to do it, and it was like a big honking project. But I taught myself what I believed. And when you tell people, well, yeah, I think we can have peace in the world, it shouldn't be that hard. Really? Why should it be that hard? I mean, I never killed anybody.
Right.
I get along with people. Why is it so hard? Why is there always fighting and rape and
right? Why would
stuff?
Colonialism and imperialism and racism, why would they have any effect on the world?
It just seems like it's dumb to me.
Yeah.
But if you say that, people say, well, good luck with that.
Well,
right.
To push back a little bit, when you say that as a white man, really, probably, that maybe it doesn't feel dumb to people who have lived in, a different body.
You mean people who've grown up in tough situations, slavery,
people who've been oppressed, and yes,
hard to say. Oh, sure, we can have peace in the world.
Hard to say,
right? Well, Mandela probably thought we could have a better.
For sure,
we can do better.
He's an inspiration.
But after a guy I knew in a band told me about the Music Lesson book by Victor Wooten.
Don't know it. Sounds interesting.
Great book. Quirky, wonderful spiritual novel about music.
Okay.
And one of the things that the teacher, Michael, says in the book is intention. Intention is the key to everything. Mm-hmm. And Victor also says the only things that you'd never succeed at are the things that you stop trying.
Right.
So it just made me realize, well, if there's a path to peace, music seems like a good one to try.
Yes, I would think it would be one instrument. Oh, that's a bad pun.
Well, that's good. It bodes well for your interviewing skills.
It's one avenue, I think, to peace. I don't think it's the way to peace.
Peace?
No.
Well, it changes it can change your mood getting in a car. It can bring back dementia patients, for a while. It's kind of amazing. Anyway, so that's the path that we're on. We set up the website, and then I said, maybe I should do podcasts. I don't know where that came from.
Okay. And so you had a website, and that was chugging along, or what?
It was all about the same time. And I just said, I'll start doing podcasts. That's the continuing content that we're pushing out.
Yeah.
We decided we didn't really want to have memberships and all that kind of stuff and sell products and
right. No newsletter.
Yeah. I mean, so it's just this.
Okay.
And one night I'm sitting here with my guitar teacher, and we had kind of hooked this up, And I said, well, can I interview you? And he goes, sure. So that was the first one. And then Steve Little, I think, was next, and then Barry Warsaw. And then I just kind of got on a path, and I do about one a week. And I met Blake, who we can talk with, who takes, what I do is where's this thing?
Oh, where are we? Are we not recording now again?
It should be from there now. Test, test, test. We're still recording. Yep.
We're back, everyone.
Yeah. So I after we're done, I listen to it, and I have a little notebook, and I write down the important stuff to me.
Okay.
And then I edit it a little bit, and I send it via this program, this app or whatever called WeTransfer.
Okay.
Where you can send big files.
Okay.
And I send it to the person I interviewed, and said, here it is. Any edits or anything. Only like one person ever had any edits.
Right.
But I do that as kind of a courtesy. I also don't have any forms or anything that people fill out. We're not making any money. We're not selling the product.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever had a problem with that. Even though I'm a lawyer, I'm like, we just don't need any forms. It just makes it too complicated.
I'm with you. No forms.
And then Blake, he and his partner Paula, they set up a little thing so that I will upload the audio into a Dropbox, and they'll get it. And then I have a format, and it'll say podcast number this with so-and-so, and then I put a summary.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and the summaries started off real short, and now they've gotten a little bit longer as sometimes they go 45 minutes or an hour, these things. And I just try to capture the key stuff that I can say, that I can write down without lying, without just making it clear, trying to give some tidbits to people. So, yeah, we're recording here. You can see this is going along.
Oh, yep, I see it.
I don't know what's going to happen back there when we had that little burp. So
you decided to do a podcast.
And just started doing them. And what I realized is everybody had something profound to say.
So
everybody had cool stuff to say.
They say cool stuff about how music has been influential in their life. And then what happens?
I asked three things, basically. I used to have a list of questions.
Okay.
I don't know if it's in here somewhere. Oh, yeah. Like those are, I had questions at first, and I would give the people the questions I was going to ask.
Yeah.
And later I realized I was only asking three things. How did music come into your life? What have you seen of the power of music? And what can we do to help make a better world by tapping into the power of music?
Okay. And
so that's the goal of my conversation, is really to get to that point, to get the person to talk about instances, with bandmates, with people that they know, with kids, with family, concerts they've seen, whatever it is, about what's the power of music, and then what can we do? And some people would say, like, well, just turn off your radio because the music is awful. Listen to good music. And other people have other things, but that's the point, is to trying to get a body of knowledge, body of information with people thinking about it. And also just getting people to think about the fact that, well, maybe it's not so crazy that you could have maybe a community of musicians with the intention of trying to make the world a better. We know that music is really powerful. Everybody has it in their lives. We are music, essentially.
Yeah.
So, maybe if we think about it and have the intention that we want to do something will happen.
Right.
So that's sort of it.
Very compelling. So I think for music in the DC area, the most powerful moments are when you brush up against people that you normally wouldn't be in proximity of. For example, when you go to see, go to Baltimore for the Artscape and you're at the big show, and there's a lot of diversity there, which we don't get so much of. And when Rare Essence played Strathmore this year, oh my goodness. It was quite the experience of having so much mingling of people who normally wouldn't get to be together. That's, I think, the most powerful.
Music brings people together.
Brings them together.
Yeah. So, what's your idea about doing your podcast? How did this idea come up to you, and what are you trying to?
Well,
what are you trying to
gave
do?
me that question, and I've been mulling it over. What's my mission? Like, why should people care? I think what I've landed on is that people in their mid-adult years can start to feel like they are waning. And I want to remind people that they're still waxing, that there's still a lot that's going to happen. They're still learning. There's some challenges now with taking care of elderly parents, parenting people in their 20s and 30s. But we're at our peak powers. That's what I like to believe. We're at our peak powers.
Yeah. Jane Fonda did a book about the last third of your life.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. I read
Wasn't it her fifth act? Was it her third?
Third act, maybe.
Well, now she's spending it in jail every week, one night.
But yeah, things have to change. You can't do the same things. You get injured running down the street.
Exactly.
And you got kids and you got old parents. But you still have that. I think humans are creators primarily.
Uh-huh.
And people end up in a job for 30 years.
Right.
And that creative juices sometimes aren't flowing so much.
Yeah.
So if you have a passion, an outlet, knitting, music, whatever.
Right.
That can help you. Like I've talked with some people before, and I felt this. I sit right over there trying to learn a song on the harmonica can give my life meaning.
Uh-huh.
Because, for 6 weeks, I'm coming home, and what I really want to do more than anything
is learn that song.
Is work on that song.
Yeah.
So it does, give you some. Yeah, I mean, it's good to be reminded of that too, and I think having a podcast or conversations about that,
Right.
And what are you trying to get out of the people? What do you want them to see? That's the bird clock.
Oh.
It's an integral part of the podcast now. Initially, I was like, well, I got to do the podcast when it's not going to go off, and then I'm like, well, screw it. It's the bird clock.
No,
right?
exactly.
It's good.
Okay,
it's a musical.
Everyone.
Yeah.
It's a musical. Yeah, it's 5:00, everyone.
But if you have an idea of what you're trying to get them to say, not what they're going to say specifically, but to get to a place where they can be open about what they feel about this for themselves.
Right.
Where am I in life? Where am I heading? What can I do? What would you tell other people to do? That sort of thing. Yeah.
So you're helping me sort of really hone in on what am I hoping for.
Yeah. There's Blake.
Where Blake in real life?
No.
No? That'd be
he
fun.
may be responding to my email.
Right.
We don't have to look at it right now, but.
So, and I think we'll also, bring some levity to the podcast.
Levity is good.
Levity, we'll throw out names, and you have to try and guess if the person's still with us. Let's just say Liza Minnelli. She's still alive?
I think so.
See, that's the kind of person we're looking for. I think so.
Okay.
So we're going to have a little levity. And then we're gonna have a little segment where we throw in a term that the 20-somethings are using, and we try and guess what it means.
Okay,
so a little
boomer.
Exactly. A little poking fun at ourselves, poking fun at them. News. What's in the news for mid-adulters? You know, what are some of the big news stories this week?
What medications are you taking? No?
That might be a good segment. Like today, that's the news that we sent up an oven in a rocket so we could bake chocolate chip cookies on the International Space Station. I find that fascinating. And we also sent up a case of wine so we could find out what the effects of zero gravity are on the aging of wine. I mean, these are important things to know.
Yeah. What about getting drunk in space?
Getting drunk in space and then having a craving for cookies.
Yeah.
You know, like, sadly, I think we may be the last generation of people that don't have space as just a thing we can get on Groupon. There will be no, hey, honey, I bought the Groupon to go to the space this weekend for us. But I think our kids
want to go to the moon.
Our kids are going to space.
Maybe.
I kind of believe
it. You've got a wide spectrum of things you can talk about in your podcast.
Well, basically, it's just life.
Life
as a mid-adulter, which, in my opinion, is life. I mean, we've been 20-somethings. We know old people. We're kind of in the good spot.
Yeah, I'm an orphan.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I had both of my parents passed.
Right. Well, how old were you?
My dad passed like almost 30 years ago, so 46 or something. And my mom just a couple years ago.
Wow. Yeah, so I don't know if it's called an orphan when you're a grown-up, you know?
Well, that's just something that we, people whose parents have both died, call ourselves.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Both of my parents are still alive.
It's nice. It's a treasure.
It really is.
That's another topic is, relationships with parents.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Relationships and caregiving of parents.
Caregiving.
Like my mom is nearby, and yesterday we had dinner, and I said to her, Mom, I want to put a video camera in your room that I can see remotely because if I can't reach you, I want to know you're okay. And she burst out laughing. Because I think she thought, I'm going to be spying on her.
Well, it's, I don't think we had cameras for our kids, but we had the monitors, the audio monitor. Ones. But now, I mean, my daughter can look at her kids while she's out and see what's going on. And roll back and see when they climbed out of the crib and all that.
Exactly, and post it on Facebook and then get a million hits and get on the Ellen Show.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So really what I'm truly hoping for is for my mom to do something cute while she's in the room alone that I can put on Facebook and then end up on Ellen. Because that's all roads lead to the Ellen Show.
I think it'd be a good place to be. I'd like to go on the Ellen Show.
It seems like, dude, you're like her jam. She loves people who love music and peace. How can we make you go viral?
I don't know. It's really just the mission.
Ellen, it all just
making
boils
connections
down
through music with the intention of bringing peace, having a better world through music, or whatever it takes.
Yeah, I think Ellen would say it's kindness, right? Creating a better world through kindness.
Kindness is good.
Yeah, that's her thing. Yeah.
Let's see how long. I'm not really looking at the computer here, people.
This is very, very intricate process. Everyone, you don't realize what we have to do here. 33 minutes.
So I think we've given it a good shot.
All right, we've got...
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the tutorial.
Yeah, well, thanks for the
interview.
To find out about it. Yeah, the interview.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's just about it, everybody. Thanks so much, Val.
It's good talking with you, Jeff.
All righty. Bye.
That's fun.
You've been listening to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gigs Society. We talk with musicians and others about the power of music and how we can use music to help create a better world. Please check out our website, www.planetarygigs.org, for information about some of the organizations promoting music and musicians, resources about the power of music, books, movies, articles, including new research on music and the brain. We welcome your support. The Planetary Gig Society is a Section 501c3 charitable organization, and you can donate on the website. You also can receive a free email signature block demonstrating your support for Planetary Gig Society. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Planetary Gigs. And we want to thank fabulous musician and teacher Eric Weinberg of Little Eric Studios for the Planetary Gig Talk music titled Chill Kid, It's Saul. So please check out Planetary Gig Talk on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Subscribe and hear all the upcoming episodes. Thanks very much.